In this video, we are going to work on finding the slope. Well, let me get my pen working here. The slope and the Y-intercept equations from a table. Well, the first question, let me see if I can get my pen going. The first question would be, what are we talking about when we talk about slope and y-intercept? Okay, first off, the slope-intercept form of an equation is y equals mx plus b. Right here, the m, the number that represents m, is the slope. Another name we use for slope is coefficient. It is also rate of change. We could use it as delta y over delta x. This letter right here, the number that's normally in this spot with the letter b, this is the y-intercept. This is where it crosses the y-axis. We also know it as the constant. Okay, so if I had a graph, and say I had a line right here, even if I don't have anything else written on my graph, I only have that. The first thing I know is at this point right here, 0, 3 is my y-intercept. I know it's my y-intercept because it crosses this is where it crosses my y-axis. The other thing I would know from this right here, see how the line is decreasing, it's going down? That means my slope is negative. Okay, well, let's look at this for some notes here. Let's think about this and find this and make sure we know this. First off, if I have a line, and right here it's going up. From left to right, it's going up. This means my slope will be positive. I don't know what the number is right now because I don't have any other lines on there, but I do know that my slope is positive. The next thing, the other type that I could have right here, maybe I have a line that's doing this. From left to right, it's going down. In this case, my slope is negative. Okay, let's look at the first problem. First off, it wants you to find the slope and the y-intercept and then write the equation. I want you to remember that the equation is y equals mx plus b. The slope is the m, the y-intercept is the b. Why don't you pause the video and see if you can answer this. First off, I would find delta y. The change in y is plus 12. The change in y plus 3, plus 3, plus 6. Well, all of these aren't the same, but that's okay because I have to do delta x, the change in x. This is plus 4, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. So now I need to do the change in y over the change in x. I have 12 over 4, that's 3. I have 3 over 1, that's 3. I have 6 over, oh, I messed up. Look right here. That should be a 2. I hope you caught that. 6 divided by 2, that's 3. Now, delta y over delta x, this is the slope. This is 3. Now, another thing I know from all this, see if all my delta y's over delta x's are the same, that means it's linear. Well, let's review. What does linear mean? Linear means it makes a straight line. Okay? Now, to find the y-intercept we said is the same as the constant. So we'll do the same thing that we do in our table building. Now, I can use any of these points. A lot of times, maybe if you drew it, you had it bigger to where you could use any of the numbers. So I've got x and y. I'm going to make my process table. I'm going to use some positive numbers right here. It doesn't really matter which ones you use. I'm going to use 3 and 10. Remember, the first thing you do is the coefficient or the slope. So I'm going to put the slope in there times x, and then I'm going to find my y-intercept. Well, how do you do that? You multiply these two together, and you have to figure out what you have to add or subtract to find your y-intercept. 3 times 3 is 9. What do you have to do to 9 to get to 10? Plus 1. Okay, so the constant is plus 1. The y-intercept is a point. So I'm going to write it as an ordered pair, which is 0, 1. You know, or you could just write it as 1, but really the constant is 1. The y-intercept is a point. Now, to write my equation, I need to write y equals, remember, m is the slope, so I have 3. Then I have my x, and then I have to have my y-intercept. Because it is positive, I put plus, so plus 1. Well, another question for you to review is it proportional? What does proportional mean? O is my hint. It means it has a constant of 0. It goes through the origin. Does it have a constant of 0? No, it is not proportional. Looking at this, let's remind another thing. Is this a function? Is this set of tables a function? Yes, it is. Let's see, let me right here. Yes, it is a function. How do you know? Because the x numbers do not repeat. Okay, let's try our next one. If I were you, I'd pause the video and come back and see if you can answer these questions. Remember, the slope is m, the y-intercept is b. My equation is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so the first step is delta y, the change in y. Let's see if I can get rid of this right here. Oh, there we go. All right, the change in y right here, minus 4, minus 4, minus 2, minus 2. Well, that's okay if these aren't the same because I have to do delta x, the change in x. Plus 2, plus 2, plus 1, plus 1. So now I do delta y over delta x. Negative 4 over 2 is negative 2. Then I have negative 2 over 1, and that is negative 2. Okay, well, there is my slope. These are my slopes. It's linear because it's the same, so my slope is negative 2. Now my y-intercept. Now some of you, I'm going to point out in a minute on the graph, we should be able to see this. See, now I always told you when I find my equations, I like 0. So I'm going to go here, I've got 0, 4, and here's the reason why I like it. I take the slope, negative 2, times 0. What's anything times 0? 0. What do you have to do to 0 to get to 4? Add 4. That's my constant. My y-intercept is 0, 4. Remember I told you your y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis? Well, anywhere on the y-axis, the x number is always going to be 0. It's going to be 0 and some number. Well, look in your table. Right here, see where it says 0, 4? That number right there is your y-intercept. Do you see any other intercept that could be right here already labeled? I do. I see this point right here. 2, 0, that's over here. 2, 0. That is called your x-intercept because it's where it crosses the x-axis. X-intercept. Okay, now to write the equation, y equals m, which is the slope, negative 2x plus b. b is positive, so I put plus 4. Is this proportional? No, it is not. It has a constant of 4. It crosses up there at 0, 4, so it is not proportional. There's your next one. Let me see if I can move up this table just a little bit. Well, silly gooses. There we go. All right, pause the video and try and find the equation and the slope and the y-intercept. Also, anytime on a table, if you see the y-intercept or the x-intercept, please circle it and label it. First, my slope is m, my y-intercept is b. My equation is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so delta y, the change in y, well, let's see, I like using red on this right here. Delta y, the change in y right here is plus 2, plus 2, plus 1, plus 2. Delta x, the change in x, Oh, how'd that change there? Plus 4, plus 4, plus 2, plus 4. So now I'm going to come over here, I'm going to do delta y over delta x. I have, now be careful, this is where people mess up. This is delta y, it is 2 over 4. Guys, the top is smaller than the bottom. That's a fraction. That's 1/2. Look right here, 1 over 2. That's 1/2. See how these are the same? Okay, that means it is linear. My slope is 1/2. Now my y-intercept, I can go and build a table. Remember, I always like using 0. So there's a point 0, 0. I can put in there 1/2 times 0. Well, what's a half times 0? Anything times 0 is 0. Do you have to do anything to get to 0? No. My y-intercept would be 0, 0. Well, here it is on the table. Right here, I know that this is my y-intercept. You know what? But it's also right here in the middle. So that's where it crosses the x and the y. It's the x-intercept as well. My equation is y equals 1/2 x plus 0, or better yet, to write y equals 1/2 x. This is the better equation. Let's do the next one. Let's see if I can move this up here. Move some things over. Okay, pause the video and find your slope and y-intercept and equation. Remember, slope is the letter M, y-intercept is b. My equation is y equals mx plus b. First thing I'm going to do is delta y, the change in y. Plus 1, plus 1, plus 2, plus 1. Delta x, the change in x. Plus 4, plus 4, plus 8, plus 4. To find your slope, delta y, the change in y over the change in x. Y is 1, 1 over 4. Okay, then I have 2 over 8. 2 over 8 reduces to 1/4. They are the same, they are linear, so I can proceed. That is my slope, is 1/4. Now to find my y-intercept, I don't have anything in my column that says 0. So I'm going to build my table and try and find my y-intercept. I've got 8, 0. I'm going to put 1/4 in here. 1/4 times 8. When you multiply those two together, you get 2. What do you have to do to 2 to get to 0? You have to subtract 2. There's your constant. Okay, so you put it, that's your y-intercept as well, so I have 0, -2. Okay, so now my equation is y equals 1/4 x minus 2. Now I don't have 0, -2 in here, but do you see another intercept? I do right here. When the y number is 0, this is the x-intercept. That's because it has a number on the x-axis. Because if I went to graph it, I would go out here to 8, all the way out there to 8, and put a dot. That would be right here, would be my x-intercept. Here's the next one. Pause the video, see if you can find the slope and the y-intercept in the equation. Remember, the slope is m, the y-intercept is b. I have y equals mx plus b. Step 1 is delta y, the change in y. Plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 2. Delta x, the change in x. Plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. Okay, all of them are the same. If I take delta y over delta x, I have 2 over 3. Well, 2/3 is a good number. That is my slope. Now, you can go and build a table. Remember I told you I like 0, and I can put in there 2/3 times 0. The other thing is, though, if you see this right here, the x number is 0, that's my y-intercept. So I have 0, -3. Be the same right here trying to find it. So my equation is y equals 2/3 x minus 3. There's my equation. It makes it a lot easier when you can find your intercept in your table. Here's another one. See if I can move this around. All right, there we go. Pause the video, see if you can come up with the equation and the slope and the y-intercept. The slope is m, the y-intercept is b. Y equals mx plus b. Delta y, the change in y right here. Remember, you're going to take the bottom number minus the top number. So you would go in your calculator and you'd put -42 minus -28. You would come up with -14. You do the same thing here, where you take the bottom number, -63, minus the top number, -42. You get -21. Again here, -70 minus -63, that'd be -7. Same thing here. Then you have delta x, the change in x. Plus 2, plus 3, plus 1, plus 1. I get delta y over delta x, -14 over 2, -7. -21 over 3, -7. -7 over 1, -7. Oops, where's my negative? All right. These are all the same. That's good. It means it's linear. Well, that's my slope, is -7. Now, there's no zeros or intercepts anywhere in my table, so I'm going to have to work it out. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to pick maybe my first point, which is 4 and -28. Let's put -7 in there. -7 times 4 is -28. Oh, well, I already said, because I'm like, multiply these together, and I get -28. What do I have to do to -28 to get to -28? Nothing, just plus 0. So my y-intercept is 0, 0. My equation would be y equals -7x plus 0, or better than that, y equals -7x would be the best equation to use. Here's the next one. Pause the video and come back and see if you got the right answer. My slope is the letter m, y-intercept is b, y equals mx plus b. All right, to find m, we got to do delta y over delta x. So right here, I get -12. Next, I have -8. Right here, this is -4. Now again, if these trip you up, take the bottom number minus the top number. That's -12. Next, I have delta x, the change in x, plus 3, plus 2, plus 1, plus 3. I have delta y over delta x. I get -12 over 3, which is -4. I have -8 over 2. That's -4. Or -4 over 1, which is -4. So right here, these are the same. That means that they are linear. That is also my slope, which is -4. Now to find my y-intercept, whoops, where do I go here? I'm going to go up here. I'm going to build a table. It doesn't matter which point you use. I'll use this one right here, which is 5, -15. Then I put in there my slope, -4, and I take that times 5. Now when you multiply those two together, you get -20. What do you need to do to -20 to get to -5? You need to add 5. That right here is my y-intercept, 0, 5. Now my equation, y equals m is -4, x plus the y-intercept, which is 5.